Today's episode of Northern Lights is presented by North Star Law Group, your trusted partner in Minnesota's burgeoning legal cannabis industry. Whether you're just starting out or looking to expand, attorney Jen Riza and her team will help you understand the latest developments, scope out risks, and find a compliant path forward in this rapidly changing field. Visit northstarlaw.com and let North Star Law Group guide you through the legal landscape with confidence.
Hello. Welcome back to another episode of Northern Lights. I'm your host, Tanner, joined today by John and Marcus. Hey there, guys.
Hello.
Welcome back. Welcome back to the studio.
Yeah, it's fun to be here.
It's starting to feel like coming home every time we come here. It's just like, yeah, we're back. We're doing more Northern Lights. It feels good.
It's my Friday vacation.
Yeah.
Like long week. It's like I'm just going to sit on a camera for a couple hours and chill.
Try some cannabis products.
Yeah.
It's a good time.
Hey, yeah.
Well, I appreciate you guys being here. I got to be honest that normally when we come into these episodes, it's like, wow, there's so much that happened this past week. We really got to jump in and cover it. And while we do have some news stories today, compared to the race that we've been on, it feels like, since really, House File 100 passed like a year ago, however long it's been, this past week, been a little bit on the slower side. But that's okay. No complaints on this end.
It's quiet before the storm.
Quiet before the storm, because if you were listening to this on Monday, this coming week is a huge week for us. So if you're listening on Monday, so like the 18th, shout out to those who listen on the day this comes out. Do that more. We've got a class coming out tonight. Dr. Dabbs, Matt Robidoux, going to be teaching you how to grow really big plants.
Not the small one.
Not the small ones. No. We're growing big plants here. We do still have a couple tickets, at least as of recording. So if you want to get one of those, mncannabiscollege.org/grow big, you can learn a little bit more about that. Get one of those tickets because that'll be a really fun class. I'm looking forward to it, guys.
I'm so curious at how big these big plants are.
Enough to yield 2 pounds.
Yeah. And no more. Not a single gram more.
Single.
No.
Unless you have a second adult in your home, in which case, then maybe a little bit.
Maybe 4 pounds.
Yeah. But
496 grams.
we're going to teach you to grow really big plants. It's going to be a fun class. That's Monday.
I mean, 896 grams.
Yeah, there we
a
go.
pound is 448 grams.
Wow.
Don't ask me
Quick
how I know.
math.
I know. I was going to say, Marcus, you really know this gram to pound ratio. That's great.
I'm good at arithmetic.
Well, so that's Monday. Tuesday, we're taking a short break. Wednesday, we're coming back hard at Earl Giles. We're going to be talking about some of the upcoming bills, but really just all the legislation that have been introduced this session. Mm-hmm. There's been some that we're really excited to be able to talk about, and some that honestly we're not as excited to talk about.
Yeah,
So,
and that event is no registration, so just show up, come learn, come hang.
yeah. The Earl Giles hangouts on Wednesdays have been super fun. I mean, I've run into you guys there. It's been a fun time. So definitely encourage people coming out for that. Learn a little bit more about the legislation. Try a couple bills. No. Let's try that again. Learn about the legislation. Try a couple drinks. Yeah, there we go. That's what we'll be doing.
We'll talk about a couple bills.
Yeah, we'll talk about a couple bills. It'll be a fun time. So that's on Wednesday, 6 to 7:30, coming out for that. And then that next night, we actually have another class. We're doing more education, not just on the legislation that we hope passes, but on the legislation that did pass, and preparing people for what those inspections are going to look like in this new legal framework that we have. And that's an important one.
Yeah, I would say that one is, if you own a business, register now.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Right. I mean, I was just thinking yesterday, like, we've had so many wonderful events that it's hard for me to keep up in terms of posting on my personal, like, social media. People are asking me, are there a lot of events? I'm like, yeah. I mean, I show up to all of them.
More than you can imagine.
Yeah, it really, I mean,
they're all great.
It sounds cheesy. It sounds like we're just saying this for the plug, but I recommend people just listen to Northern Lights. You'll be able to know about some of the events we got coming up, learn about some of the news in the industry. Really the best way to stay informed.
Yeah.
So thank you all for doing that. Unless you're just tuning in for the first time, in which case stay. We've got some really good content.
Yeah, go watch the other ones.
Yeah, it's good stuff. So people can still register for that. mncannabiscollege.org/inspection. That's going to be 6 to 7:30. Really looking forward to it. We've got Jen Riza of North Star Law. We've got the Minnesota Department of Health that's going to be coming out to provide their insight on what those inspections look like. In fact, we're having the person coming out that's really behind the lead of those inspections. So really looking forward to being able to provide people the opportunity to ask their questions and figure out more about how they can be best prepared for these inspections.
And like, just, yeah, to make that clear, you're going to be getting that feedback from the person who is doing the enforcement. So this is your only chance to get, I think, direct FaceTime to talk with this person as a human being. And it's crazy how far, like, actually meeting people can go.
Yeah, we know that there's been a lot of questions recently about what these inspections look like, about really what products do fall under that compliant side versus the non-compliant side. It's really going to be a great event for people to be able to come out and just, in one fell swoop, learn about all the regulations. Make sure that your shop, whatever products you carry, are compliant for Minnesota.
Yep.
Maybe we'd have an OCM director if she could have attended this class.
Yeah, that would have been pretty cool. If we had that OCM director, we definitely would have invited them. Alas.
So, yeah, Wednesday, learn about the future. Thursday, learn about now.
And then Monday, learn about big plans.
Big plans.
Yeah, so check the show notes for links to all of those events. But with that being said, should we jump into the news from this week?
Yeah.
Head first.
Yeah, so we're actually starting with an email that we got just about 10 minutes ago. It's really not any super major news, but it is sort of a neat note that we want to highlight. The Cannabis Advisory Council here in Minnesota now has their first meeting scheduled. They'll be meeting end of March, so we'll be seeing that meeting coming up Friday, March 29th from 10 to noon. And if you would like to be part of that meeting, you can join into that. They have a Zoom. You'll be able to at least listen, hear about what that advisory council is doing, hear them elect a vice chair, hear them get an updated implementation update on what things have been done. Nothing super huge newsworthy, but glad to at least see that moving in the right direction.
Are they going to have this available online for viewing for people who are not able to like step away from work to listen from 10 a.m. to 12 noon?
That's such a good question. So I certainly hope that the OCM takes that step, but either way, we'll be there recording it. We'll make sure to have it. You can always check out our YouTube page for some of those past events, because there have been a couple meetings that were not recorded and they had, and we've been able to share that information out. So you can go check those right on our YouTube page on that,
And
Jeff.
we're saying this one's not too big of an event, but I think hearing and seeing who's on that council and hearing how the OCM is communicating their implementation to them will be very important. So if you like actually hearing from these people, which we rarely get to do, this is a great opportunity.
Yeah, and I remember when some of these people were first appointed that their seats are going to last, some of them, through like 2028. So these are people that will have a pretty big voice in the cannabis industry for the next couple of years, not people that we can really ignore.
The good thing is that if they are recommending bad advice, the OCM does not have to like accept it.
No, it's advisory. Yeah.
They'll be like, thanks for the suggestion. We're not doing that. Prohibitionist.
And we certainly hope that we see that office take a pretty proactive role in ensuring that the program looks how we want it to. And well, I certainly have a lot of faith in many of these advisors. Some of them, frankly, I've never heard of before. So I'm excited to get to meet them for the first time at that meeting.
And they're going to include prohibitionists. So.
All right, well, let's talk about some of the news that didn't just happen in the last 15 minutes, but actually some news that happened in the last couple of hours or days, depending upon when you're listening to this. So we've been hearing a lot about this increased enforcement around THC-A flower, around non-compliant products, around really the Office of Medical Cannabis, Office of Cannabis Management, and police departments sort of partnering together to figure out what does compliant products look like today? How do we ensure that stores are actually following through on this? And we've heard a lot of rumblings of maybe cease and desist letters, a lot of rumblings of people getting warnings. But this was really our first sign, at least publicly, of police departments going into stores saying, this is not compliant. We're working with the Department of Health, and we are seizing your product. So we should be a little bit more clear. So Albert Lea Police Department and the Minnesota Department of Health inspected 12 businesses on Tuesday and Wednesday of this week. So if you're listening on Monday of last week, and corrections were made at 8 of those businesses, including removing or destroying illegal products, correcting labels on products, and also moving products behind counters, which we know cannabis products can't be within reach of people, so just moving them out of reach. Minor adjustment, but interesting to see that there were some products that were either removed or altogether destroyed.
You surprised?
Well, I think I'm more surprised that we're actively seeing that enforcement.
This is the first time I think we've seen two sides of the enforcement with the police department and Department of Health, because they have different purviews when it comes to cannabis. And the problem that we found ourselves in was Department of Health could not actually do anything about vapes and flower, and the police couldn't do anything about edibles. So it was like, we need to go together. I'm glad they figured that out.
Yeah.
They call those conundrums.
Yeah. Yeah, so there were some gummies that exceeded that state limit, not just like, oh, they were a little bit over, but like they were packaged as being clearly over. Yeah. Clearly over the state limit. There were products containing Delta 10 and HHC, which is currently in Minnesota. You can't have those in any products. And then they also had a bunch of CBD and also CBD vapes, which, as of today, not legal here in Minnesota. At least to sell, we should clarify. Many of these products would be legal to possess, but many of them not legally to sell out of a store.
So 8 out of 12 of the businesses were non-compliant.
Yeah. So it's interesting to note that while product was seized or destroyed or altered in some way, there were no actual citations written. This was all just educational, coming out and saying, hey, I don't know if you know this, that product actually has to be behind your counter, and I'm going to wait here to make sure that you do that. Or, hey, this product that you have, that flower, you can't actually sell through the store, and that's illegal, so we're going to be taking that. But nobody was disciplined beyond that, you could say. It was all just regulatory action.
I like that. If they keep that good faith effort of like, hey, none of us really know what these rules are, so let us tell you in person. I encourage this.
Yeah, I think it's good because I think there's going to be a lot of irresponsible, or maybe they're just ignorant.
I say the distributors just come and drop them off. That happens a lot. Where it's like, oh, you guys want all this free stuff? And then they leave.
So they're thinking because since the distributors are offering it that it's okay.
Bingo. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's a spectrum of there's very clearly some bad actors in the industry that are saying, hey, I don't have to abide by these rules. I can just sort of do what I want. And then I think there's some other people that are maybe in the middle of maybe they know and they don't want to look into it. Yeah. And then I think there are people on the way other end of the spectrum who maybe like you run a small coffee shop in Bemidji or whatever. Someone comes and says, hey, this is legal for you to sell, and we've been selling it to other stores, and we really think you should carry this. And maybe you look at it, and it looks like a legally compliant product. It like checks those boxes in your head.
Usually when it's packaged well, which a lot of these illegal products are, like that's when people just completely turn
For sure.
all like their
You've been in other
triggers
stores.
off.
You've seen that these are legal for people to sell. You assume if someone's coming to sell it to you, it must be legal.
or a brand that carries both legal and non-compliant stuff. Similar looking packaging. I've seen all of these around the state.
So I'll be curious to see as we get deeper into regulation, because I think right now there's that spectrum. People could be sort of maybe a little bit confused. I think come a year from now, I think honestly 6 months from now, if you're still selling flour out of your store, you got to know that can't be legal, you know?
Yeah.
Albert
and
Lee
you know there's
Police
some people who don't
Department's
give a
coming
damn.
for you. It'd be funny if they just sent the Albert Lee Police Department up and down the state. They're like, no, you guys did a good job the first time.
They are the new police, the cannabis regulators. I don't know if you know that. Albert Lee was given statewide jurisdiction.
Someone tell OCO.
Sounds like a level up.
Yeah. All right, well, let's move from just Minnesota-specific news to looking at a little bit of national cannabis news. So we talked on the podcast last week about how the State of the Union this year was the first time cannabis was mentioned, at least on the legalization side, during a State of the Union address. Not enough action, even close, but at least a step maybe in the right direction.
I mean,
Well, yeah, definitely. A pinky, what's the phrase that we used to use? It's a toe in the right direction.
Yeah.
It's good, inching along.
not your big toe. Either.
No, definitely not your big toe.
You got to turn your foot sideways.
Yeah, a little bit. Well, we had some congressmen and women that reached out to President Biden saying, hey, that was not enough. You need to continue moving forward. And by the way, you said that you've given people clemency, but actually you haven't let a single person out of jail.
Which I think is the biggest part.
Yeah, you've said, hey, yeah, we can, pardon some simple possessions, but those aren't the people that are facing incarceration right now. Mm-hmm. And so these congressmen, including our own Representative Ilhan Omar, sent a letter to President Biden saying, we need change. Ilhan Omar was our only representative in Minnesota that joined on to this letter. Pretty disappointing to not see any of our other senators or representatives, but...
Isn't there a guy
Not
running
surprising.
Dean Phillips running for president?
No.
He didn't say anything?
Not anymore.
Not
Oh, he
anymore.
dropped
Not
out?
anymore. Yep, he's done so.
What did Homer Simpson say? You tried and you failed. Or something like that.
He had the best tweet after he resigned, which is that congratulations to Marianne Williamson, Nikki Haley, uncommitted, and some guy who won in
The real front runners.
Yeah, for getting more support than myself. So
Hey,
whatever.
This uncommitted guy seems like he's coming out of nowhere.
I know, crazy. Yeah, getting a pretty big sweep here in Minnesota.
but you know, there's like 500 Congress members, so like 36 is not.
It's
even
weak.
It is
1%.
Yeah,
It's very
it is
weak.
really bad. Really, really bad.
It's
So-
nice.
Not even
It's nice to
10%.
see one of our reps in that number, but yeah, you got to pump up those numbers,
Yeah.
rookie numbers.
And we just want to be very clear because we've been getting some pushback on social media, and we know President Biden has not pardoned a single person that has released anyone being incarcerated in prison. Yes, there have been cannabis-related pardons, but if you're someone who is sitting at home, not actively incarcerated, that pardon is not in of itself the only thing that is there to help you. But the people in prison, the people that are actually behind bars for cannabis, continue to face incarceration is just embarrassing.
Yeah.
So hopefully we see some action there. But in reality, as of date, we haven't seen anything.
So don't hold your breath.
No.
I mean,
But it's election year. You never know.
Yeah.
You never know in an election year.
And they're sure making a lot of noise about it. Kamala Harris on Friday, so the day that we're recording this, held a roundtable talking about the importance of cannabis legalization, really trying to verbally push forward. But sure haven't seen a pen get signed for anything yet. Yeah, she was here. Yep. First time a vice president visited an abortion clinic
Yeah,
here in
St.
Minnesota.
Paul. Yeah.
Should we talk more about national news?
Why not?
No.
Well, I heard that a judge recently.
Let's talk about some state politics. How about that?
Ooh.
So, guys, we had a ton of action on cannabis legislation this past week, right?
Whirlwind.
Whirlwind? No, actually, as of this recording, there has yet to be a single movement forward on any bill beyond a minor clarification around workplace testing that still allows for cannabis testing. It's just like a minor phrasing change. That is the only time a cannabis-related bill has gotten a hearing yet in the state of Minnesota for this legislative session.
And we're saying it like this because a bunch of cannabis bills have come out so far. I think we're up to 6.
Oh, we're up to way more than that. We've had probably about 12 introduced thus far.
Yeah.
If we're looking
0
at
hearings.
those with like just the Senate bill, we might be closer to like 15.
No. And so we've made a lot of policy, but we've yet to debate on that policy, which we're running out of time here, Tanner.
Oh yeah, we are.
Is it the committee deadline's like in 5 days? Is that right?
5 days for those who respect it. It's like
So
the
if they
NFL
don't receive
salary.
a hearing and get the bill advanced, then it's done for this session.
So it
Yes
just needs to
and
make
no.
it through at least one committee.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
As l-
they need to do that in the next 5 days.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I would say what I'm expecting is commerce and consumer protection in the Senate will take it up, move it through this week, make sure it's got through a committee, and then really start working it through the rest of the committee process. I think they're going to start whatever they need to start. I guess this week if you listen on Monday, next week if you're in the room with us.
So you're saying no hearings have been held in the Senate, but have they gone through the House? None there either?
There's been nothing.
They've just
Wow.
slow rolling it.
So Representative Stevenson hasn't even scheduled a hearing for his own bill?
Nope.
Not that we've seen.
Yeah, it's interesting to see Port and Stevenson lead a bill that's supposed to be headlined by the OCM, like helping to lead this forward. There's not even been a hearing.
Damn.
Yeah, it's been pretty disappointing. So, John, I really want to vibe with your optimism. I really want to say, like, I hope that this week we see some action here. I'm curious to see. I guess by Friday we'll know whether we're going to see any cannabis action, whether we'll see, social equity licenses reformed, whether we'll see, perhaps moving forward of like limited licensure. A lot of things on the table. Extra grow rights for patients, a caregiver program that allows you to give your right to grow to other people to grow for you. Like, there's so much at the legislature right now. It's all just waiting.
I mean, I'll be cautiously optimistic. They often schedule hearings like on very short notice, right?
Yeah, and that's they've done a couple surprise ones where it's like 11 a.m. Bam! Oh, there's a hearing. Everyone has to run around. So I'm just hoping for that, honestly.
Yeah. I've been Googling,
blind
quote,
hope.
Minnesota, end quote, quote, cannabis, end quote, mnledge.com, and doing a lot of like really searching every hour to see if there's anything. And nothing yet, but hopefully we do see some action
Have
there.
you signed up for the alerts on the bills?
Yeah, those sometimes come a little bit slower though. I notice if you're just Googling every hour, you generally get it faster than the emails, but you spend a lot of time at the computer.
You know, Legiscan,
Oh yeah, all that good stuff.
pretty good.
Well, so let's talk about some of the bills that were introduced, because there were two bills introduced that I think will either have a very positive or perhaps a very negative impact in the cannabis industry. And while we haven't yet seen that hearing scheduled, as you mentioned, that could happen pretty last minute. We could see some movement on either of these. So we should at least let people know about some of the legislation being looked at. The first one is House File 4789 or Senate File 4524. And what that would do is it would change the definition of who is a qualified medical patient from those with only a set list of diagnosed disabilities. You have to have a patient or a doctor verify that you have one of those conditions. This would change it to anyone, quote, approved by the patient's healthcare practitioner. So if your doctor believes your life could be improved with cannabis medicinally, they could recommend you to be a medical cannabis patient, and that's all that you would need. You wouldn't need to have IBS or autism or one of the conditions. You could just have something that your doctor believes could be
Correct
impacted.
me if I'm wrong. Getting on the program is also free now.
It is,
As
correct.
of last year.
Yeah, so really the only fee you have to pay right now is to the doctor. If this would allow, everyone to be able just to go to their standard care doctor, say, hey, by the way, do you think cannabis could maybe help me with this? If they say yes, that's enough for this. As of right now, there's at least you got to find the specific doctor that's willing to do that recommendation. But yeah, this could open it up so that so many more people from sleep apnea to sleep apnea is an approved condition today. But, for all the other conditions in life that cannabis could potentially help with, this would allow people to sort of throw off the chains of that government regulation to be able to say, this is just a conversation between me and my doctor.
Like, hey,
As
doc,
it should be.
Hey, doctor, I'm having an itchy buttocks crack.
Or Dorito aversion syndrome. It's all the old
lower
stoner
back
method. Yeah, exactly.
Scratch.
Yeah.
Athlete's foot.
Yeah, cannabis
Doctor.
can't hurt with that, right?
And if your doctor says no, you can just get a second opinion. Like, which one of your peers would recommend this?
This would allow you that any primary care practitioner would be able to prescribe it or recommend it. So hopefully we see some action there. I think that would really open it up. We have a pretty limited program here in Minnesota where for someone to get a condition approved on the program, and actually the commissioner of health has to personally approve it. There's an entire appeal process. This would make it so much more of a conversation between my doctor and me.
Yeah, and we have had prohibitionist commissioners of health. I remember there was one opposing the legalization bill like a couple of years ago.
So now I really like
Like a recent
streamlining,
commissioner.
streamlining all that to be like, okay, your doctor said yes, you can hop on the program.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Simple as.
Yeah.
We're a legal state.
Yeah.
Let's keep it like that.
And that's the thing, is people will be able to already go into the adult use shops and search cannabis. This just sort of provides them more of that medical route to be able to explore it with someone who has more of that expertise.
I'll say no taxes on medical cannabis.
Bingo.
Hey,
Bingo, bingo, bingo.
maybe I should sign up.
There we go. All right. Well, we should talk about one other bill, House File 4871 or Senate File 4957. This just bans any flavored, vaporizable or smokable cannabis products. So you couldn't, for example, have like a vape cart that's been flavored to taste like bananas. It would have to be flavored to taste like cannabis.
And this one, when I first read the House version, I was like, okay, whatever. Cannabis can taste like anything because the plant's natural,
Right, there's flavorful terpenes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing
It's
is we've seen so many different terpenoid and terpene profiles be able to be expressed by this plant. I think this would just limit it to perhaps, cannabis-infused terpenes or cannabis-derived terpenes
We
specifically.
don't need artificial flavors in cannabis. It's already flavorful enough.
Yeah.
So I'm cool with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, as long as it doesn't prevent people from having because I've smoked some herb that tasted so good. I'm like,
It must have, but that's the thing. The herb, it
Yeah.
already does that.
so some of it is so delicious.
Well, if you have thoughts on these bills, come on out to our event on Wednesday. We do hope to have a discussion with people, talk a little bit more about your thoughts on all of these. So come on out. That's for sure.
The last part of that bill, it bans ads that promote the co-consumption of cannabis flower, a cannabis product, a lower potency hemp edible, or hemp-derived consumer product with alcohol. And I ask you all, what the hell does that actually mean?
Basically means you can't run an ad where people consume both alcohol and cannabis at the same time, which as of today, surprisingly, is legal.
Yeah, I was going to say, I thought that was already.
I don't know. We won't be running those ads,
Run
that's
through
for
our
sure.
ads.
I mean, do it while you
The
can.
ads,
I don't care about the ads, but it's like,
My question is,
Yeah.
could a bar hang up, their hemp beverage poster in a bar?
We'll come on down to our event on Wednesday, and we'll let you know.
Oh, let's go.
All right. Well, we're going
fire
to
down.
cut here. We are going to come back and we're going to sample some products. I'm really excited. We actually have some people coming in our studio here that are going to be telling us a little bit more about their product. John, you spoke to them. Excited to try some Ganja Skoden.
Ganja Skoden.
Ganja Skoden. And then we're going to come on back, have an interview from Jeff Brinkman of Superior Cannabis. And then at the end, we're going to be diving deep into CannaConnect. So stick around and we'll be right back.
See you guys.
Oh, it's getting cutthroat now.
Hey guys, what are you up to?
Oh, we're just practicing for the CannaConnect 4 tournament, getting ready.
The CannaConnect 4 tournament? What are you talking about?
Yeah, it's the expo. All the brands are going to get together. They're going to compete in Connect 4. We want to show that we're the best in the industry, so we're practicing. And Marcus is getting really good.
Like Northern Lights? Like you guys think CannaConnect 4 is like a Connect 4 tournament? Oh! Guys, CannaConnect 4 is a conference and expo. It's not a Connect 4 tournament. We're bringing together like 20 to 25 brands to give out like samples and education and knowledge about the Minnesota cannabis industry. It has nothing to do with Connect 4.
but we just haven't heard anything about it.
That's my fault, and I apologize. But we're getting the word out about CannaConnect 4 starting today, and tickets are on sale. In fact, I'm giving away 150 free tickets. Like, you guys got to get your tickets quick.
Oh,
Yeah.
guess we should stop practicing and
Yeah.
go get our tickets.
Let's get the hell out of here and grab our tickets.
All right, let's go.
April 5th through the 7th, Modest Brewing and the Wilderness. Get your tickets online, cannaconnectmn.com.
And we're back. I'm joined here with Kelly, Richard, and JP. We're going to look through their new drink here. You guys want to take it from there?
Yeah, what's good, John? How you feeling?
I feel great. How are you guys today?
Doing good.
Thank you guys for coming on the show.
Yeah, it's good to be in the community.
Yeah.
Respect. Appreciate you, my brother.
Yeah.
Thank you to the team for putting us on here like this.
Oh, of course, man. I mean, I was talking about your drink a week or so ago, and Rudy was getting into it with me. And then I walked in this week, and I was like, oh, shit, I get to meet the guys behind it. So you guys want to tell us, how did we get here? How did we get this drink?
Yeah, so, each of us come from a place. Mm-hmm. And in the case of us, we all come from different parts of the world. I'm from Samoa, Richard from Kingston, Jamaica, and Kelly's from northern Wisconsin, in those Ojibwe. And so we got a Samoan, a Jamaican, and an Ojibwe American Indian up in this piece here. So that's really what it's
Corners
about.
of the world, yeah.
It's about
Touch
the
it,
culture,
man.
man.
Yeah.
I mean, it's about building some community and culture. So the drink really comes from where we come from, because what's in it is a piece of us. So I don't know. I mean, in terms of the origin story, I would say my guy Kelly, who I've known since 95, 96, we went to University of Wisconsin River Falls together. He called me up and said, I'm looking to go in a different direction. So I said, well, what do you want to do? And he was, well, I'm not really sure, but I think I want to get into this cannabis thing. So I'm like,
It's a word that perks up the ears, yeah.
He said that'd be interesting.
Kelly, you want to take it from there?
Well, we really didn't know what we wanted to do when we first started out. So the three of us kind of got together and, where did we want to go? What did we want to do? what will we want to build our company, our drink, and our culture on? And that's kind of how we all started. That's where we started. Before we even knew we were going to be a beverage, we had to figure out how we were going to incorporate everything that we are into a vessel to help spread who we are, our cultures, our community, and we knew we needed to do it the right way. And that's kind of how we started. So as we kept moving forward, I was laying in bed one night and I'm like, you know what, why don't we do a beverage? I've been seeing those come up. Why don't we do a beverage? Yeah. So the next day we got together and we're like, what do you guys think of this? What are we going to do? What flavors are we going to have? What are we going to do this? And we talked through that whole process all together. So then it went to, we want to make a margarita. We know we want to make a margarita because it's a very popular drink. And so we kept the ball forward. We created the recipe within there. That recipe is our recipe. We sourced the agave. We sourced the limes. It's all natural. There's no added sugar besides the sugar that's actually in the agave. And we knew we wanted what type of profile we wanted in the drink, but we had to figure out how to do that and how to make that profile.
Yeah, we were sitting at Ganja headquarters, my living room. We were sitting there and we were trying to come up with the name because the brand is really, really important. And then Richie, what'd you say?
Yeah, being from Jamaica, we advocate for the weed. Everybody has talk about Jamaica, you talk about the weed, legalize it, No. But anyway, we kind of was bouncing around with names, what to call it. And I just say, no, we just call it as it is, Ganja. It's an old ancient name. A lot of people know the pretty name for it, but that's the name for it. And we say, Ganja, is it?
We all kind of smiled and
look at each other. I'm like, yeah.
we were smiling and he says, let's call it Ganja. And I said, Skoden. And are you guys familiar with Skoden and all that word Skoden? Have you heard that at all?
I've heard it around, but let us in.
It's on the res when someone asks you if you want to go have a smoke or you want to go somewhere and you want to go. Most people say, let's go then. On the res, we say Skoden.
Skoden. Love that.
Let's go then. Let's go down and get some ganja.
I actually tested this out because I ran into someone from Red Lake Reservation up in Minnesota.
Yeah.
And
Shout out Red Lake.
Yeah, shout out to Red Lake, to the brothers and sisters up there, Native brothers and sisters. And I was telling her about the Ganja Skoden, and she's like, Skoden? Oh, I know Skoden. I was like, oh, yeah, right. Tested it, you got to check it out. So, what else you want to talk about?
Let's talk about the can here.
There you go.
Like, as this great seal and the colors, can you guys tell us a little more of how you ended up with how this product looks?
Richie, why don't you start us off on that one?
Well, being as the name is Ganja, you know what I mean? And it's a cultural thing about the can, that, all of our different culture is into it. You know what I'm saying? And if you notice on the side, those colors, the green, yellow, and the red, a lot of people, you see the colors, they recognize it, but they don't really know what it means.
They're like, oh, that's a Jamaican flag.
Yeah,
Actually, it's not the Jamaican flag, though.
It's not a Jamaican
Well, that's what like people see them. That's what exactly.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But the green on it really means the vegetation, and the yellow is the sunlight, and the red is for the blood of the ancestors. That's what those colors mean.
Wow, and that's for all of you guys. It's like everywhere. It's bringing where everyone came from together.
Exactly, yeah.
I love that. And then tell us more about the seal.
The seal is a turtle. That turtle was very important thing for all of our cultures. It's a creature, very powerful creatures in all of our cultures. Yeah. But speaking for where I come from, I'm Anishinaabe, and we believe that the turtle helped create the earth, right? That's something that we do. And are you familiar with the term Turtle Island? Have you ever heard of Turtle Island?
No.
Okay, Turtle Island, I'll kind of start from the beginning, but I'll kind of make it a little quick because it is a longer origin story. But at the beginning, it's said that the earth was nothing but water, and the Creator looked down on this water, and he saw a turtle swimming in the ocean, and he summoned the turtle. He asked the turtle, please come here. And the turtle comes to the creator, and the creator asks the turtle, can you please swim to the bottom of the ocean and collect some soil for me? And of course, the turtle said, of course. The turtle swims to the bottom of the ocean. He grabs some soil. He brings it up to the creator, and he gives it to the creator. The creator takes that soil, and he puts it in his hand. He kind of squishes it around a little bit, and he slowly picks up that turtle. He takes that soil, and he puts that soil on the turtle's back. And that's how the earth was created, and that's why the earth is round.
Molded the earth,
and that's what we call Turtle Island. That's the Americas. That's what we call Turtle Island. That's how it started.
I did not know that. I love that. Yeah. I love that. So let's crack these open. What do you guys say?
Let's do it.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's do it, man. You got it right there.
There you go.
When did you guys launch?
Yeah, mid-January was when we got the shipment in and rolled the truck up and loaded it all up into the truck and drove it to the sitting room at my place, Ganja headquarters, and unloaded it. It's sitting right in the sitting room.
Right? The kids come in every day and look at it.
So we do everything ourselves from distributing from the very beginning, and it's important for us to do that because it gives us an opportunity, not just to have a amazing drink, but it gives us a chance to talk about our cultures and who we are, and to kind of share our stories, who we are and how much we love this project and love our cultures and love the community. And it just gives us a really big opportunity and something that we've never really had before, or I've never really had before. And it's truly something amazing to see. It really is. Yes. And be a part of.
Yeah, I see it come together.
Yeah,
I love that.
In Samoa, we say manwia.
Manwia?
Manwia.
Manwia.
Means cheers.
There we go.
Manwia.
Yeah.
For real.
Really?
It's all about the love. One love.
Skoden.
One love. Oh. That is crisp.
Yes, it's delicious.
Yeah.
A lot of people say, it's refreshing.
Mm-hmm. It's the fresh lime. I think, that fresh lime with the citrus. Oh, I like it. And how'd you guys end up with settling on the 5 milligrams?
Good question.
That's a darn good question. Yeah. We're still kind of sorting through that. We went back and forth with that since we started a year ago. We originally were going to do 2.5, and then we were going to do 4.2 to kind of make it a fun, like that's 420. And then we're like, let's do 5. And then we're like, let's do 7.5. And finally, we're like, we have to make a decision. Right? And we're like, let's just do 5. 5 is good. And a funny story with the 5s, we had tried the product, we had made the product, but we had never drank the product with the actual THC in it. So we pick up the product and we load it into Richie's truck. We take it over to headquarters, and we're sweating and it's hot, and we're like, all right, let's sit down and enjoy a Skoden. So we sit down, and John and I can our first one because it's very, very refreshing. And then I'm like, I think I'm going to have another one. John says, I think I'm going to have one too.
That's how you know it's good.
Yeah. And I drink another one. John drinks another one. And before I know it, John's looking at me, and I'm kind of looking out in space. I'm like, oh boy, I'm glad we didn't do 10. Yo, he's high. They're laughing at me. John's like, man, you all right? I'm like, I'm really high. I was like, yeah.
Not the same as a test batch.
No. So that's when we knew it all came together, when it did what the purpose was, and we had the right potency for what we wanted at that time.
Yeah. Honestly, the market shifted a little bit in the last few months, so a lot of folks are going to 10. We think there's a place for 2.5, 5, 7.5, and 10. But initially, right now, we're thinking probably we're going to switch things up and move it to 10 milligrams. We're kind of punching under our weight class in some ways because we're competing with 10 milligram products at 5 milligrams. But, honestly, a lot of people don't want 10 milligrams too. They just want to get in at 5. I think one of the key things that Kelly and Richard talked about was we want it to be sessionable. So, we want people to be able to enjoy it not only at their home, but also like in a restaurant environment too.
Yep.
Right. So, and if you're at a restaurant, you're probably not going to want to get too messed up.
A whole 10 milligrams.
So,
Yes. Right. Yes. So.
That's a great thought. That's a great thought to the market. Anything else you guys want to share?
I mean, with the whole the drink, I mean, we had like blind taste. You know, I mean, we first decided about the taste, and then we, you know, called friends and family, and everybody go back to this one.
Go back. So you had multiple flavors.
Yes.
Okay. And then this was the one.
And everybody keep going back to this one.
That's how they weren't wrong.
We were originally going to launch with three flavors. That was the original plan, but we couldn't get the other two flavors perfect. And for us, we wanted to make sure that what's on the can matched the inside, right? And it had to be good. It had to be great. And
With
it
the
had
community.
to match what it was.
Yeah.
The community.
I love that.
The first samples were non-THC. So we tested them with our family. Okay. So like my son Oscar, who's 14, tried it, the non-THC version, of course. And he's pretty particular about his beverages. He's a beverage guy. And he was like, it's good.
Right.
Yeah, you know, it's like an adolescent 14-year-old. He's not going to be
He's
like
not going to
super
want to be
excited.
like, oh, Dad made it.
And then Gavin kicked in, and Julie kicked in, and Michael kicked in, and the
My
girls.
2 daughters, yes.
So it grew out the family of like,
Exactly.
damn, we like this drink.
Yep.
And then you guys are like, we can roll with
We
it.
can freaking do it. And like we said, community is such a very, very important thing to us. And I'm just going to take one step back here and talk about the actual label again. If you look on that label, the arms of that turtle are actually houses.
Yeah.
And that represents community. It doesn't matter color, creed, preference to whatever it might be. Those houses represent all community. And one step further, if you look at the head of that turtle, that's a sun. That represents the sun spreading ganja, spreading love over Turtle Island and all the communities within it.
That just works perfectly into the colors too. 'Cause you got everything. I love it. It all ties together. Yeah.
The colors are the colors of Rastafari.
No.
You know, and Richie and I've talked many times about just the sufferation that the Rastaman has gone through over the years, bringing the herb to the world, you know, through Little Jamaica.
Yeah,
You know?
I mean, you know, I've been on the road, and this is real stuff, touring, and they actually stopped the plane, take us off there, searching for weed on the road. I mean, we've been through some stuff, man.
Yeah.
You know, and see, you know, Rastaman, you know, go through so much hardship just to smoke a little spliff, man. It's just like, it's crazy. You know what I'm saying? So.
Especially in this legal, like when the legal landscape, when it's like, oh, now it's this in every coffee shop.
Like I said, we Jamaicans been advocating for it for years. You know, I mean, we talk about this, legalize it, and you know, see it happening now and then. They start still putting claws and all kind of stuff around it. It's like, but you can't stop it, you know. Come.
So me and Tanner started with a campaign for full legalization. That's what we were doing back in 2018, going up and down the state, being like, we need to legalize it.
Yes. So you know what I'm talking about.
Yep.
Yeah.
And now here we are.
Yeah.
So what's it say on there?
So it says Ganja Skoden Sparkling Lime Margarita is a culture. Making best-in-class drinks is not only what we do at RKR Ganja Beverages, it's who we are. So kick back, enjoy the ride, and
Skoden.
Yeah, and then the tagline is Ganja's a lifestyle, strictly positive vibes and one love.
Oh, there we go. Well, this is delicious. We got Ganja Skoden. Where all can we find this right now?
Oh, you can find it at, well, let's just give a shout out to the Hook and Ladder and the Zen Arcade over south off of Lake Street, right? They're carrying it.
Elevated Liquors.
Right.
Okay, yep.
The Minneapolis location. We're also here, the Beer Dabbler, both locations. Really appreciate those guys taking us in. Great family. We're also in the Nome off Selby. We're in Lake Ridge Liquor. We are in Shamrock Liquor Plaza. We are in
Midway. Shout out to Midway.
Midway Saloon.
Chicago Liquor. That's progress for a few months.
We are
Like 25 places,
Say
man.
Ganja HQ have got reach.
Lake Ridge in Golden Valley.
Toasted Wine, Spirits, and Ale over in the Como area at St.
Oh,
Paul
yeah, we
here.
got to give a shout out to
You
Toasted.
bet we do. They're great people over there. And Zips.
Oh, yeah,
Liquor.
David,
Zips has been
Zips.
great.
Respect.
Yeah, Zips.
I mean,
Zips has been great to us.
We have a saying in Jamaica, say if it's the egg, we have to be in the red. You understand what I'm saying? We are everywhere.
Everywhere.
You cannot stop it.
Hey, well, look out for Ganja Skoden. Go give it a try, and we'll catch you guys soon.
Let's go down and get some ganja.
All right, one love.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hey, Tanner.
Hey, Steve.
What are you doing?
I'm just reading, getting ready for our next event. You know, what to expect when you're expecting.
An inspection? What are you talking about?
You know, our March event. You know, what to expect when you're expecting. I'm getting ready so I can teach more about, you know, people getting ready for having babies.
Let me see this. Tanner, this is a pregnancy Bible.
I know. You texted me, you know, a couple weeks back saying we're going to have an event called What to Expect When You're Expecting in March. And so I figured I'd start getting ready.
Okay, well, I'm sure that's great and all, and I know, you know, you're getting married, and I know things are, you know, heating up for you, but we're not hosting a pregnancy class, Tanner. We're hosting a compliance class about what to expect when you're expecting an inspection. Remember?
Oh, an inspection.
An inspection, like if your retail store has non-compliant products, you may expect an inspection. And, you know, if you sell THC-A flower, you might get an inspection.
Oh, so we're not going to teach people like about pregnancy, but more about when the state comes out to inspect your legal cannabis business, what to expect.
Yeah, an inspection, March 21st. It's at the Wilderness. Hell, I mean, you created this class. Come on, silly. Like, this is totally different. We're talking about the cannabis industry.
Get your tickets today. mncannabiscollege.org/inspection. What to expect when you're expecting
An inspection.
Yeah.
It's okay.
All right, awesome, and we're back. Welcome to another episode of Northern Lights. Super excited to have you all here. Here, Tanner Barris with Marcus Harkis, joined today by a guest that perhaps has driven further than any of our other guests, Jeff Brinkman of Superior Cannabis. Welcome.
Yes, thanks for having me, gentlemen.
Welcome.
Yeah, thanks so much for coming out. Really excited to talk to you today about your brand, talk a little bit about the legislature and some of the changes that are going on. But first, just to give people a little bit of background, you know, I've been seeing you at events going back to like 2018, 2019, but tell us a little bit about yourself and what brings you to the cannabis industry.
Well, I coached wrestling, really what got me into the cannabis industry. Obviously, I think we all dabbled a tad before that. But when I started coaching wrestling and when I had kids in sports, I kind of faded out, right? And when I came back, or when I was getting to the end of my coaching career, and when you're a wrestling coach, you tend to wrestle a lot. And I look at me, I wrestled big kids, obviously. And I realized that, I've got some aches and pains that I didn't used to have, and really started looking into CBD instead of, I was going through 1,000 milligrams of ibuprofen, and then I'd switch to acetaminophen, and then they eventually just didn't work at all. And so I had to find something different. And really, I tried CBD, and it seemed to work well. And then when I started looking for just better quality products, it was just transformative. I mean, things I've been suffering for years just kind of melted away slightly. So, and then it just got me back into, once my kids graduated, it just got me back into focusing on cannabis again. And such a helpful plant. All the cannabinoids together, we think are just really that kind of that essential element is whole plant science. So that's what really kind of what we're based on is we've actually worked with a company out of Wisconsin that has developed Whole Spectrum, which is some of the broadest spectrum cannabinoids available today. So we're pretty fortunate to have met up with them and with that, developing products along the way and then trying to keep, obviously, those products legal and then enter the rec market as well.
Very cool.
So you started Superior Cannabis in 2018 in Minnesota's early days of the modern hemp cultivation. What motivated you to do that, and what were the first months like?
The motivation was really that pain management aspect. And I had talked to my partners back then. Tom Cotter's my partner now, but we had 3. But just as you well know, we, the ups and downs with the industry. We had one partner, a great partner, that decided, hey, this has got too many shifts for me, and I'm not comfortable with it. And you want to work, you want him to be comfortable with what he's doing. And so now it's Tom and I, but we really got into it just talking about pain management. We're both, in our 50s. We're the old guys, right? But we both learned that, sports throughout your lifetime, you become a cannabis fan.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think one thing that both of us can probably relate to is through the years of activism, of talking to people through this, there's so many people that I think find, hey, cannabis helps me in this one way in life, be it pain management, be it appetite, be it, anxiety or whatever, be it, and say like, wow, I just want to share this with others. And it's always cool meeting people that are in the industry because they found some role for cannabis in their life and said like, hey, this is something that I really want to share with other people.
Absolutely. And I think, in determining partners, we sat down and literally had the conversation like, why do we want to be in this? And it was to help people. And when it isn't that, then we're out, Of course, I also like to imbibe in, not only CBD, but the THC side of it too. So to me, but that's also, to me, a health component. I'm not always looking at liquor as my, social lubrication. And I think the low dose market here that we have in Minnesota has just been a blessing to destigmatize. I think we've all talked about that and how, man, I've got people that wouldn't touch cannabis in their lifetime, willing to sit down and have a cocktail,
absolutely.
A cannabis cocktail. And how fun is that,
Breakthroughs.
Yeah, I talked about this on an earlier podcast, but it was cool going on a vacation up sort of near Duluth, but a little bit north, like Two Harbors, and seeing just the adaptation of how cannabis really went from you don't really see it much around to it's everywhere. You stop at like a random restaurant on the side of the highway and they have their alcohol products. They've got, their pretzels or cheese curds, but they also have just some incredible cannabis products that are locally made. And that's really incredible.
And I think too, for a lot of folks that aren't drinking alcohol, the old days, it's a NA beer, it's a water, it's a soda. And now we have something where they can kind of join everybody and really enjoy themselves as well and be an adult, So that to me is just kind of a fun thing, but it's also got some health benefits, we all know. And then too, just kind of even the calories. I mean, some of these great beverages are, 200 maybe max calories. And if it was say a margarita, you might have 400 calories at a restaurant. So, you can kind of look at all those different aspects of social social destigmatization, health benefits, and just people kind of being, accepted, into a brewery where they would never have a beer, but they're sure up for a cannabis drink.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we saw that just yesterday.
And I do feel like we work with Blacklist up in Duluth.
Absolutely.
Just great people to work with in our seltzers, and then we work with Spring Grove Soda down in southeast Minnesota to do our 2 sodas. And along with that, you kind of had to feel them out to see where they're at, And they all thought, like, man, why aren't we doing this? So I mean, it wasn't just our idea. I think a lot of people were kind of looking forward to the future already. So to kind of, this is kind of like the movement to open things up. And I think, being that common beverage item really helps people kind of accept it.
So it was a really long road to get here, as I'm sure you know. You touched on sort of some of the changes that have come about in our industry. I wanted to ask you what it's been like. I mean, there are a few people in our industry that have truly ridden that wave from CBD to Delta 8 to Delta 10s and everything else
Right.
to Delta 9 to
9, 10.
fully legalized Delta 9 to whatever the next chapter brings. I mean, just what has that been like?
As you guys know, I mean, it's been just an up and down rodeo. And I think some of the things the state has done has not been obviously industry enhancement on the hemp side. But, you know, we moved to the THC side. I think that was a needed, like we had to get to legalization at some way, shape, or form. So, you know, fighting kind of the ups and downs of the market to this point, I think it has been challenging. I mean, these shops, small makers, you know, small craft makers such as, you know, say like cookie makers. I don't want to mention companies, but a few, you know, there's a lot of small market craft folks that got into this business to be craft and to kind of maintain craft. But yet we're kind of pushing to this bigger industry, and kind of I feel like we're leaving some of those folks behind because they're looking at small batches, and we haven't set anything up for somebody that can make 100 units or 200 units. And as you guys know, some of those 100 unit batches are the best batches that you've ever had,
Oh, yeah.
whether it's a cheesecake or
For sure, yeah. We've had people that come on and talked about, you know, I make my product, I really think it's of high quality, but if you expect me to like test like literally every single thing that is going out the door
Right.
to the full spectrum that perhaps some interpret the law to be, you know, that's an increasingly higher cost as the day goes on and as more processing goes on. And it definitely can be a barrier to, I think, some of the small people that really found a niche in this
And
industry.
two, I don't think you bring those people back. You know, we sit there and talk, oh, we want you to be in the legal. We want you to, the legal market to accept what you're doing, but we're telling them we're not going to accept your way. You know? And I think testing is very important. Testing, especially our components that go in. So, but to me, like if you test your distillate and you can show through chain of custody that your distillate went to this cookie, and you have satisfied, say, the health department's requirements for making cookies, why test everything? And I do agree, obviously, sending a COA on your cookie at the end, but, you know, a full panel for flour, I kind of feel is a little bit.
We've had questions a lot asked of us, like batch. The term that has sort of come up in this new temporary rules is when you're looking at a batch, is that like this is one specific, like this went into the oven at the same time and came out at the same time? Or is it like this is the same recipe, same input, same process? Really, what is that testing minimum that needs to be met for it to be a legally compliant product? And I think, I mean, people are not alone in the industry in saying like, what are the rules? Like, what do I actually have to do to get this product on the shelf and be compliant? Even if they're trying their damnedest. I mean, it's been a roller coaster for sure.
It has, and I think that's the interpretation that most labs, and when I say or co-packers look at is, you know, batch to them is your end product run. So if it's like our mango gummies, if we send it in, you know, our distillate and getting those gummies made, it's that set. Is the requirement for the full panel. I mean, that's our impression, and that's kind of our lab's impression.
For sure.
But there is some room for interpretation, and I think, too, folks that are new are not going to always see every little detail in this bill. That's, you know, we've all looked or listened to about the complexity of the bill, and I feel like, you know, some new entrepreneurs or people that are, you know, English is a second language may misinterpret that stuff unless they have an attorney looking at every single thing they're doing. So, you know, too, I think with legalization, my vision is regulate like alcohol, and that might be loose to some people, but I've seen alcohol do some things to people that cannabis will never do. And not that I don't like alcohol, I'll have a beverage here or there, right? But I think we're looking at this as something different than what it really is. And to me, it's yes, it's a medicine, but it's also I feel like it's a healthy social way to, whether you want to say get intoxicated, get high, whatever, but
Take the edge off.
Yeah,
yes,
life
take the edge
enhancer.
off. And like you say, you know, I'll go home and I'll have a nice 10 milligram beverage and maybe a gummy, and I'm good. But if that was 10 years ago, I might have 6 beers or 8 beers, to get that same kind of relaxation. The difference, obviously, you guys know, is I'm up the next day ready to roll.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
what from House File 100 do you think the framers got correct? In other words, what part of the law should Minnesotans fight hard to protect? And on the other hand, are there things from the final version that you think should be changed?
I'll tell you, I think the cannabinoid limitations on the CBD side, I think, are problematic. I think that we're taxing. I'll give you an example. Our average age for CBD consumers is about 68 years old. So if you think about that, we just planted a 10% tax on those people that really aren't consuming recreationally. They're consuming health-wise, supplemental-wise. I'm not going to say medical-wise because we aren't. But, those people are consuming for a different reason. I feel like that should be a different segment. And then limitations in those, we start talking 20 milligrams CBD, 20 milligrams CBG, and then 0.5 milligrams of minor cannabinoids. And we all know, I want as many cannabinoids going into my oils as possible, right?
Yeah.
And also I want, availability of high dosing CBD, high dosing CBG, and not ridiculous, but we shouldn't be stripping away things that people have depended on for, literally years, right?
Yeah, well, and there was this pop-up for a while of CBN really becoming a cannabinoid that people were saying, maybe this does have a role in my life. And then sort of that got a punch to the kneecap of, no, you're not going to do that anymore, unless it's 0.5 milligram per serving.
Correct.
Max.
And to me, the net effect that had is really a market shift to medical. And I know I got some blowback early on last session, but when we looked at kind of what the bill was producing and then kind of the sourcing of the bill language, sometimes it got concerning. And those concerns were, I think, realized as, hey, there's stuff here that's being stripped out for really no apparent reason, right? I don't know that, tinctures should have been stripped out as a, standard product for people. Those in medical knows. They know it's effective. They've actually poured a ton of money into CBD and THC combinations, different ratios, along with all the other CBG, CBN, and then those minor cannabinoids. So to me, I'm like, if we're going to legalize, I don't want our consumers that we deal with every day to be stripped of things that are helpful to them or sent to somewhere else that's a multi-state operator or national operator just because I can't produce it now in Minnesota. Yeah. So, those things were concerning. I think too, I think for small business, I don't want to be super controversial, but you start looking at labor peace agreements. Those things where you have a labor peace agreement with a union as a condition of your application. I don't think that's right. Small business shouldn't be tamped right off the bat. Maybe if you grow to a certain size, but right off the bat to be a union shop, I don't know if a lot of small businesses are going to be able to stick with that. Am I against unions? Absolutely not. I think there's a time and a place for them, especially for worker safety, and then fairness, obviously, within the workforce. So I think when we say things, people automatically sometimes twist it if they don't feel like they align with you, and they reframe it as something else, as anti-union. No, I'm not anti-union, but it's tough to make a go as a small business. And if we're going to be in a craft industry, we should probably focus on small business.
Yeah, no, I think that's totally fair, especially when you look at other industries that do evaluate large and small businesses differently and look at some of the rules and regulations around them, perhaps treating small business a little bit more lightly to allow them to operate. And I'll be curious to see, we've seen a couple different measures come out in the legislature. It's still the early days, so we're waiting to see really what fully comes out. But I'll be interested to see how our program is tweaked over the coming years to really either benefit small business and to allow them to continue and thrive. And I think the way that the intention was of consumers and the community, or quite the opposite. And I think that's all of our fears.
Right. And Do you remember, Marcus, I think you were there. We were sitting in finance committee, and I'm pretty sure you were there, but
Probably.
I went in and I listened to, I think it was in finance committee, and they were like, so we have this residency requirement in this, and we'll probably get sued on it. So why don't we just erase the resident requirement? And I was like, whoa. And nobody questioned it. Nobody debated it. And they passed it. So I'm like, oh, now we have copy and paste cannabis from other states, which we saw now. But that was like, and that was not a well-attended hearing. So there weren't a lot of people there, but I was like, that was a big one.
Yeah.
A lot of people.
Because we were always advocating for a Minnesota-based Minnesota cannabis market, not dominated by out-of-state MSOs.
But wasn't it interesting that, like that was hardly debated whatsoever?
There were so many issues that were hardly debated. I just think most people were overwhelmed. Like, I can't keep up. I just got to focus on what I'm interested in.
Oh, even internally trying to share out with people. Like, I think the first couple of days of the session, it's like, oh, all right, there's a hearing scheduled next week. Like, be ready for that. Then it's like, all right, maybe there's 2 scheduled for next week. And it's like, all right, there's 1 tomorrow. Be ready. And then very quickly it was like, all right, there's 300 pages of changes to this bill, and they're debating it tomorrow. And I guess just be ready to talk about it. Good luck.
Here we go. Authors didn't even get to read.
Yeah.
And it was funny because we were all in this cycle of reading till 1 o'clock in the morning and then racing down the hall in the morning to find your room. And I kind of feel like, man, was it almost like just so much thrown at you that you just couldn't catch all these pieces.
It's like walking in a blizzard.
Yeah.
Stopping at 3 snowflakes, right?
Well, so I'm curious to hear your thoughts on sort of what moving forward the state can do to help support small business. But first, we're going to take a very short break.
Great.
All right, and we're back. So we were talking a little bit about House File 100, some of the things that went into the program that we have or that we will have very soon here in Minnesota. I wanted to ask you, you have a unique perspective as a small business owner here in Minnesota that's seen many of the changes throughout cannabis generally. Looking forward to the next chapter of legalization, adult use or continuing on in that low potency hemp side, really what kind of supports could the state provide that would actually help support you as a business owner? I know there's talks about like grant money going out or training programs or sort of all of the like, but from someone who's actually on the ground doing the business, what actually would be helpful if the government came and said, hey, I'm here from the government, I'm here with X.
That scared me when you started.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm here from the government.
Yeah, the worst thing to hear.
I'm innocent.
I think that, the one thing is, as a small business owner is we are quick to adapt as long as we know what the plan is, right? And I think, there's, and this is kind of happening now where we're having some, I'll say it's like an informational meeting, but there's no Q&A. There's no public square. And I thought, if we're going to better this for what we call craft industry and stakeholders, we should probably invite them to the meetings and ask or allow them to ask questions. And then being able to be predictability, like implement predictability into this program so that, we're not turning inventories. I mean, we gave away tinctures that were, expensive, and we just gave them away. And because they were, by a certain date, they were illegal, and they were kind of not illegal, and it was gray area.
Oh, yeah.
And we don't have a great track record with gray area. We had a cease and desist for CBD, and it was Delta 8 beverages, and they shut us down. And we noticed, we had talked to the same office about, well, medical cannabis is selling the same potency gummies, CBD gummies, and why aren't they shut down? Well, they got a letter of information. So I think, too, that level playing field, and that level playing field also means enforcement and guidance. So if they are not enforcing, but they're guiding medical to do the right thing, then why don't you help guide us instead of just enforcement? And maybe they've taken a little different approach now. I'm hoping that happens, but you know, let's be predictable. Let's be equal on enforcement, and treat people equally. And when it becomes, you know, oh, they're a big player, that's a lot of work. These guys are easy to enforce upon. Those things don't add up, and I think people do see that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think for so long in our industry, it's been like medical has been big and up here, and then all of the hemp and CBD and low potency THC has all sort of been down here. And I think the hope of House File 100, and we'll see if it actually shakes out that way, is to sort of balance that out and say, all right, yeah, you were like the big untouchable medical giants before, but now you're just another cannabis business.
Right.
And there's other cannabis businesses here that are regulated just like you.
And yes, and competition. Let's may I talk to that a little bit?
Please say, absolutely.
So the low dose hemp and the hemp market in general in Minnesota was recognized between Vireo and one of those companies purchasing them was Verano, and then Verano bailed out, right? One of the reasons Verano stated that they were not going to purchase Vireo is because of the competition from the hemp market in Minnesota specifically. So if you are a company or an MSO that has that kind of problem, what are you going to attack in legislation to hinder hemp companies? And look what happened. We got, was it 1,000 mentions of hemp in the bill? In a marijuana bill?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there was definitely some radical changes to how hemp works.
And I mean, that language that really, and obviously we know there were safety issues on the hemp side, right? And those things did have to be addressed. Synthetics, super high potency, ridiculous stuff, candy looking things.
Yeah, for sure.
Nobody wants that except for whoever was selling them, right? But you know, the industry as a whole wants to be responsible. I don't want my customer coming back once and then telling everybody or having a horrible experience with their child or themselves.
Sure.
I want these people coming back and seeing me. We're a neighborhood store. We've got a great customer base in Austin, Minnesota. We've got a great customer base in Duluth. And I want those people coming back. I want those relationships. Those are people who support us, and we want to help with health regimens. We want to help with them relaxing. We want to help them have fun, right? So when you're connected with that community, you want what's best for your consumers. And so I don't think there's any doubt about that. But the attack on kind of hemp products, I mean, we know where that came from. And, you know, if you just look at, you know,
you know, I think we can like look at other states. Like I think Florida's a great example because we're seeing some really recent changes happening there where they're looking at, hey, they've had low potency hemp for a pretty long time now. And they're looking at kneecapping it to like 2 milligrams per serving. And I think like
it's 2.5.
Yeah. And like 10, 20 milligrams per package, like, and it's even lower than here in Minnesota.
Right. Yes. And you think about that, who, you know, those people that are longstanding, I did watch a couple of the people testify, and one female, she was probably in her mid 60s, and she was talking about, you know, even Delta 8. She was like, if I find it and it's tested, this has helped me like no other thing has. And I pay a fraction of what I do at the medical market. And I don't think we can be tone deaf to that, because those are important things that are important to people. But product safety, if we can, and that should, I think, be the focus, is product safety and not so much these ultra low limits, because we know what the ultra low limits are for. It's to drive people to the medical market.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's the not excluding people, but allowing it in parallel. It's, you know, not saying low potency edible needs to go away when we have adult use, but saying what can it look like being in the state of Minnesota where we have dispensaries, but we also have liquor stores or restaurants that sell cannabis products. Like I think that's pretty cool.
I do too. And it really is it's a futuristic legal market. And if we do it right, it's going to be great. But I feel like if we do it wrong, we're going to drive some people out of the, some people might, if they're not taking our products, they might just quit and suffer, and I don't feel that that's what we should be doing, is driving people kind of out of the market, when we should be like, no, we want to fit your needs. That's really kind of the key to keeping all the cannabinoids.
I love that.
So we talk a lot about, the Twin Cities here with the Minnesota Cannabis College, and we were excited to partner with you a few months ago in the Duluth event. For those who have not had the opportunity to experience, what's the scene like in Duluth and in Alexandria?
I'll tell you, in Duluth, we don't have a location in Alexandria, but
okay.
That's all right. Duluth is, so I live in southern Minnesota, and our shop is in, obviously, Duluth, but all our kids live up in Duluth, so we're doing this. But Austin I'll just explain Austin first. Small community, bit conservative, and I could not believe, honestly, when we opened our doors, it was like everybody loved us. And that was such a surprise. But then again, I'm like, there were so many people coming out and like, I've always kind of thought about, doing something different. And, and once they start like seeing the plants, we've invited them out to our farms. So we do a September Hemp and Food Health Day for folks to come down and check out the farms, and then also hear about, healthy food alternatives from kind of the commercial stuff, right? So it to me, it's a little bit holistic maybe. And then we talk to them about organic and regenerative processes and growing, because we're the only certified regenerative and organic company in the state. And I'm talking both together. So, and with that, goes up to Duluth, we're a water quality certified farm. Largest body of water in the United States is pretty important, right? Yeah. And so I think overuse of fertilizers, if you talk to some growers, they're like, more is better, and we're like, well, is it? Or do you want to just build up microbes in your soil and let them do the work, right?
Absolutely.
And if you can do that right and do it sustainably, you're taking care of the water. You're taking care of energy needs. If you're growing outdoors, I really encourage people to, even if you're an indoor grower, throw some seeds outside and have some fun this summer, this spring. Start them inside to about a foot, and then get them outside, harden them off. But
we'll just throw in a quick gardening tip here. If you were just to recommend when people start a seed indoors, is that like early March you might want to start it inside?
I like to do, so when I put in I start a few seeds every year. So I started 36 hemp strains at tax day, April 15th.
Perfect. There we go.
And then usually I'll get them first week of June, we'll replant. I use about a 10-day window for hardening. So if you don't know about hardening off plants, read that very carefully. Oh, yeah. They get sensitive. So that first day, they're going out for like 30 to 45 minutes in the full sun. You cannot match the sunlight with any indoor light. Doesn't matter. You got to get them out in the sun and just give them a little dash of it every day. And then usually around that 10-day, 14-day period, you can get them outside and get them solid in the ground. And I'll tell you what, they love the existing soil as long as it's good soil. And there's nothing that compares to outdoors and sunlight. Big time terpenes, big time flavonoids. It's scientifically proven. But not saying indoor isn't a premium product for sure, but you can get there with outdoor, and it's just a different way.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I mean, scientifically looking at like the trichoma heads, like outdoors, you just get so much larger, bulkier heads, and it's the sun is a powerful tool.
It is, and that life cycle is literally the perfect light cycle, right? Mm-hmm. It's been around for a while.
Yeah,
I've seen hundreds of strains over the years, and some of the best stuff I ever had was outdoor Humboldt County cannabis.
Some of it was even seedy and kind of ugly looking, and oh man, it's some, and it is kind of, and I do think Humboldt obviously had some hemp. Like I've had some really nice stuff from Humboldt County that had some seeds in it. And they, they of course weren't happy with the hemp growers, but I think we've got to find a solution, and triploids are probably going to be the outdoor solution for sure.
Oh, for reals. Oh, that's such an interesting. I love hemp for so many reasons. It introduced me to so many cannabinoids that I think I would have ignored had I just been like an adult use straight market.
Right.
But looking at the science of cannabis generally and how our cultivation practices can change outdoors, indoors, I mean, it's really a cool plant.
And they will evolve. And I think really just the ability to be legal and play with these plants outside and inside. I mean, where, you're kind of looking around if you're playing with them before that, but now it's like, okay, I can mess around a little bit, and it's kind of relaxing, and it's a freeing feeling for sure.
Yeah.
So this is work for you. This is a business. We've seen you out here since 2018, one of the first ones who was very vocal and present and grinding. And you just mentioned the word play. So like, how much of the work is play?
Plants are play. Work is at the desk, and work is at the computer. This stuff is awesome. Events are awesome. But yeah, when I get in front of a screen, man, it just...
Yeah, we've had other people come on and say, like, if I could just grow cannabis and then just go and talk to people about it and give it to them,
right,
that'd be pretty sweet. It's all the selling and everything else that gets in the way.
But I'll tell you, one of the things that I think that first really taught me about how important this is, man, you have those first in-depth conversations. It was Tom and I working the shop initially, and man, you get in some deep level conversations and you start helping somebody out, and they will never forget you, and I will never forget them. And it's like that builds connections, and that's where I'm like, hey, this oil that you take every day, like, I'm going to fight for that. I'm going to be the guy. And people kind of wonder, like, God, it's just oils, we're getting THC. And I'm like, well, that's great. I'm glad. But I want all these cannabinoids. And it's because our customers, my family, our friends need them.
I love that. So we're sort of in the, 2024 is flying by, but sort of looking forward to the rest of the year. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of changes over the next couple of months, next year, next however long, continuing onward. What are you looking forward to in the future? Sort of what does the next couple of months bring to Superior, bring for yourself?
Well, I think we're going to, I know they talked potentially early licensing. I think there's a lot of discussion that needs to be had there. And to, I think our hope is that legislators are really going to look at what they told the folks in Minnesota, as they said, equity, small business, craft oriented. And I think we need to hold them to those standards. And I don't really feel like, you see these groups that we're meeting with and networking with, and you see and you talk to people that are great growers and want to get into a micro license, or they want to get into a mezzo, and we should be fitting that. We should be inviting those people into this industry and not finding roadblocks for them. And then too, we shouldn't be just looking at opening doors to out-of-state operators and then rolling out the red carpet. And we've been here. We've been pushing the market. People that have been in the black market have been here. They deserve to be in the legal space. And, I think we need to follow those channels and hold them accountable for what they told the public. And within that, I feel like public squares, we should have Q&A. And we shouldn't be just getting talked to and and then they leave the room. I mean, we've seen enough. All of these politicians tend to do that. They come out and give their talking points and they walk away. And I'm like, I like to ask questions. That's how I'm built.
For sure. Well, truly, thank you for the work that you're doing, because I think there's a lot of people that are in that same spot of, I'm trying to run my business. That alone is taking 80 hours per week of my time. following along with what some people at the Capitol are doing is sort of difficult at times. So just thank you for raising your voice and saying from that business perspective, this is tough.
Well, I appreciate that. And I think too, I really appreciate you guys you're keeping these issues on the table and keeping them in front of an audience that, normally they're not learning some of these things. And I think that's such an important outreach aspect. And so I really appreciate the work you guys are doing. And too, showing people how to grow cannabis and experiment with new products and things like that. That's a piece of kind of enveloping and hugging people that normally wouldn't be a part of this space, bringing them in and really kind of welcoming them to the community. So that's awesome work, guys.
Well, thank you. We appreciate that. We like to grow plants here, grow community, and, so people have the sausage gets made of starting up the cannabis program.
That's what it's about.
And enjoy the product.
Yeah,
Yes,
absolutely.
definitely.
So just sort of wrapping up today, if people want to learn a little bit more about your brand or follow along with some of the stuff that you're doing, where would you recommend to go and send them?
We're if you look up Superior Cannabis on Facebook and obviously Instagram, and then also at superiorcannabis.com. But also our shops are in 125 North Main in Austin, Minnesota, and then 339 Canal Park Drive in Duluth. Stop in, say hello.
Awesome. Perfect. Well, thank you again so much for coming in the studio today.
Appreciate you guys.
Appreciate you.
Thanks so much.
Good time. Thank you.
We'll be right back.
Hey, this is Doc Dabbs here at the Minnesota Cannabis College, and we're going to teach you how to grow more than 2 pounds of cannabis by growing really big plants.
Join industry experts Matt Robidoux from Raiden Labs and Dr. Dabbs for an exclusive one-night event on March 18th from 6:30 to 9. Whether you're a seasoned home grower or just starting out, this class will teach you groundbreaking techniques to increase your yields per plant, ensuring you make the most out of Minnesota's max 4-plant limit. Spaces are limited. Register today at mncannabiscollege.org/growbig and unlock the potential of your cannabis cultivation. Your biggest harvest awaits. Come join the Minnesota Cannabis College and learn how to grow really big plants.
All right, and we're back. So during this last part, I'm excited. We're going to be digging in deep to an upcoming event, Canna Connect 4.
Yes.
Steve, excited to have you here to be talking a little bit more about it.
Thanks, Tanner. Yeah, I'm super excited, guys. Marcus, appreciate you having me back. And, we're running it back. Canna Connect. We're working closely with you guys on the Cannabis College side. I'll start with the Home Grow Lounge. I mean, we're bringing back some of our favorite guests and favorite teachers about, Okay. Yeah, so we're bringing back some of our favorite guests from our classes, like Doc Dabbs, Raiden Labs, Canna Joy, House of Oilworks, and we're filling the lounge area with like home growers and people that sell seeds. So that way, we're bringing that Minnesota Cannabis College home grow experience to Canna Connect.
Cool.
In the speakeasy, we're not throwing like a big sponsorship in there. We're actually having a 4-canna beverage. It's my new collaboration with Modest.
Very cool.
Yeah, so honestly, you inspired me to do this. And 4-canna is 4 milligrams CBD, 4 milligrams CBG, 4 milligrams CBC, and then, of course, 4 milligrams THC.
Nice.
What a perfect, 4-canna Connect 4. Like, that just worked out so...
Yeah.
It's like you planned that. That's awesome.
Well,
Connect 4.
when we were looking at Canna Connect 4, and Andy... I knew I wanted to do 4 cannabinoids. And then I think just talking about 4 cannabinoids, the name kind of wrote itself. So 4-canna, Canna Connect is for the people. 4-canna, it's got 4 cannabinoids, blah, blah, blah. 4, 4, 4, 4, 4.
I love it.
Yeah.
So people will be able to come on out. Let's sort of think through the wilderness. So we've got...
Get this. Plus there's 3 professional panels.
Oh, all right. So that changes everything. So here I was thinking that we were just going to have the home grow lounge. People were able to learn a little bit more about home growing, learn from some of those teachers, get some hands-on learning. I love it.
Yeah.
We've got the speakeasy. I love hanging out in there. We'll have 4-canna.
Speakeasy manned by Minimum Wage Tim and the crew. So not only will there be 4-canna, we'll also have Minimum Wage Tim coffee, and he'll have some craft craft cold brew cocktails.
Nice. Very, very cool.
Bring like the whole idea, like in working in unison with the Cannabis College, was like, how can we bring all of our favorite parts of the classes that we've done into a conference expo type experience where it's open throughout the day? Yeah. So to keep going though, like lounge area, 4 to 5 vendors, all familiar with the Minnesota Cannabis College, all have taken part in either the speakeasy or the class teachings, and then the speakeasy itself will be stocked with 4 Canna. We'll have like Modest will be giving away like a certain amount of beverages for the people there early. So if you come early, you'll be able to try 4 Canna. It'll be dropping the night before at Modest. That's a whole nother party. But keep going. We love the wilderness. We love the speakeasy, the lounge, and the theater. The theater is really cool. You're going to be a part of this beverage panel where we're going to talk about how to bring a beverage to market. Having done that.
Absolutely. Well, I'm so excited to be able to talk about like, here's our perspective of going through this specific product, and to be able to talk to people who do that for like their full-time job, and to be able to say like, as a small independent person, this is what I thought during the process. Like, what advice do you have for people going through this? I think it's going to be so valuable.
Yeah, it's absolutely going to be valuable if you're a brand owner and you're looking at distribution options. We're going to have an alcohol distributor on the panel. We're also going to have a cannabis beverage distributor who's vertically integrated and has found a way to just grow his business to not only have like 12 to 15 SKUs, but also be able to rep and distribute other people's brands. And then we'll have Lauren Bertrand, who was just on the podcast, and she's going to come on from the perspective of like having worked with a multi-state operator and coming into an existing market, not starting a brand in Minnesota, but coming in with a brand. And so I think it's unique. Oh, and lastly, Andy from Modest. So,
for sure. Yeah. Oh, we love Andy.
So, Andy comes more from like the collaboration, the brewery, the creation of the beverage itself. I feel like it's going to be a super well-rounded panel. I didn't want to have so many panelists, but the category of beverage is just, it warrants having a lot of minds on the topic.
It's one of those things that I think is approached from so many directions. Like you're talking about from like traditional alcohol, maybe from cannabis turned beverage, maybe from people like Minimum Wage Tim, who come at it from not even the cannabis side, but just like looking at beverages as more of that like the community experience. I think there's so much that can go into this panel. I'm really looking forward to this one.
Yeah, and that's at 1:00 on Saturday at April 6th. And there's a couple ways you can get tickets to Canna Connect. You can either buy a panel, like a panel ticket for, I think they're $20 to $25. That'll get you a ticket to the panel, and it'll get you into the expo. Right now, we also have 150 free tickets that we're giving out. That's just for the expo. So the expo, Marcus, has 25 brands from all Minnesota or operating in Minnesota brands, mostly local. I mean, without a doubt. Like, we're talking about some transportation companies that are just getting started, and they're using Canna Connect as their launch point to meet people in the industry. Actually, the brand that I should talk about, because they're not as popular on social media, is a company called Magic Touch Transportation.
For sure.
And they listen to the podcast. They're a fan of what we do, and they signed up just off of an email. They didn't even have a logo yet, and they were like, we want to be at Canna Connect. We want to launch our business. And so shout out to Magic Touch Transportation. We're excited to see them and see their logo and experience their brand for the first time. And that's a big part of what we're doing, is trying to allow brands to have showcase and the ability to meet people. By giving away 150 free tickets, we're planning on having over 300 people at this conference, which will make it the largest Canna Connect yet. We're working with the Minnesota Cannabis College. We're working with Wink, with Bovida, with a host of great brands. And the best part is it's April 6th. It's coming up. And we're having a weekend full of stuff. So April 5th, we're having a launch party. April 7th, we're having a community cleanup. We're bringing back all of the great parts that we learned last year and bringing it into one weekend.
I love that. Well, it's so fitting, because the first time that you and I really sat down and connected, at least in this most recent industry, was at Canna Connect, when we reached out and said, hey, this event looks really awesome. How can we get involved? You're like, come on down. We're going to make it work. It was honestly, to date, one of our best events that we've been to, only perhaps followed by the next Canna Connect that we came to. So we're so looking forward to number 4. It's going to be a smash. And wait, you said 150 free tickets.
Yeah, right now we still have 50 free tickets available. They're going fast. We're giving away just to make sure that we have an awesome event. We want people to feel like this is accessible. We see a lot of conferences. We see a lot of trade shows that are going on. They have high table costs. They have high entry costs. That's not what we're trying to do. We want to make this open so that we can grow the market for the long run. And that's really a big part of it. We have a couple tables left, but mostly full. I think we're at about 80% full. And, it's at the Wilderness. I should also point out that not only is it fun to meet brands and try beverages and edibles and things like that, and it's fun to, meet new people, but we're also going to be seshing with some of our friends. Our friends at Legacy Cannabis and Boveda are curating a vibe outside. And so for the first time, well, not the first time, we did work with Stores and Bickle last year, and that was a good time. But April, I'm anticipating good weather, warm enough, and a good time to be outside. So Josh and the crew at Legacy, they're bringing out the dabs, they're bringing out the tents. There's going to be a space. Boveda's bringing out the Adirondack chairs. Think Legacy Cup style.
Very cool.
At the Wilderness, and Josh is on board. We're super psyched. It's going to be consumption, education, networking, and overall connection.
That's so cool. Man, I'm truly looking forward to this one. It's going to be a good time. I got my ticket. Marcus, you got yours.
Yes.
You guys have to go get yours because your phone was just ringing a couple of minutes ago. Like those tickets are going fast, so people really got to go register now.
Yeah, check it out on Eventbrite. Check it out on Event High. Link in bio. CannaConnectMN.com. You can find us. We're all over the web.
And like you said, there's a lot of trade shows and conventions happening. What makes this different? You've kind of hinted at it.
Right.
But how is this different from all these other trade shows people are telling me about that I don't go to?
That's a great question. And honestly, I'm going to fall back on Canna Connect is for the people. Like more than ever before, we are making this accessible. We've had a special rate for social equity groups that want to have a table. Maybe they're new to the industry. We've discounted the table cost. We've got 150 free tickets. We want to make sure that new people are coming in. We don't just want to have this vacuum of, we're the best, we're the best, we're the best. No, we need to continue to show people what we're doing and allow them in to get comfortable in the space. And then lastly, I'll stand on it, our panels are the best. We have the most professionally curated panels, and we're not afraid to go back to back to back. Starting at 1 o'clock, we have the beverage panel. At 2:15, we have the marketing panel, how to market your cannabis business in the Midwest. We have David Gonzalez. It'll be moderated by Rochelle Gordon. We're bringing in a couple other people from out of state, like Madeline from Illinois and Spencer from Wisconsin. He's up in Two Harbors now. And then at 3:30, Boveda is hosting the panel on adult use cannabis. And so what are the realities that we're going to see in the Minnesota industry? That's Boveda's Drew Emmer, who's been in the industry 8 years. Colin Kelly from Meridia Capital. He was early to Leafline and has experience working in multiple states as a license holder. We also have Stefan Egan. He agreed to be on the panel today. So we've got good experience from Stefan. And then lastly, Jeremy Johnson from Michigan, who's just this wizard of a marketer and works in dispensary marketing. There's going to be a lot to take away from this panel. I recommend buying tickets to all the panels. You'll learn a lot and you'll be able to ask questions. You'll get to meet Tanner and Rochelle and Drew Emmer, who's a real hoot. I enjoyed talking to him this week.
He's cousins with Representative
Tom Emmer.
Tom Emmer, yeah, the congressman.
I think they're brothers.
Oh, really?
Which is interesting. And, Drew's in the cannabis industry. And, I know what you're talking about. Really, and that highlights it, right? It's a diverse group of people getting together at the Wilderness, a comfortable, relaxed environment, indoor, outdoor. Bring your own cannabis to smoke. Just don't smoke it inside.
It's a beautiful venue if you haven't been there. It's really fun being there.
And I ran into Jesse Ventura one time. It was great. Just bumped into him. It's like, oh, you're here too? Oh, cool. It's a fun time.
Yeah, you can meet anybody there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I appreciate you guys giving me the platform to put it out there, and we want to bring as many people together as possible. We're aiming for 420 customers.
I love it. Well, so just one more time for people, if they want to go get tickets today, where can they go to get that?
Yeah, the easiest way to look is on Eventbrite. Type in Canna Connect 4, Canna Connect. It'll pop up. Also, our website is updated, CannaConnectMN.com. Great website, easy to navigate, lots of events on there. And some of them we're putting on.
Yeah, some college events too. It's some good stuff. So, well, Steve, thanks so much for coming on, talking to us a little bit about Canna Connect. I mean, you're on all the time, so thank you for coming back. But,
thank you, honestly.
Yeah, we're looking forward to Canna Connect. It truly, over the next couple of weeks, we've got some big events upcoming, but that one stands out as really looking forward to that.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be crazy if this event isn't as big as the Brainerd event. It's just going to be kind of a new fun problem to solve. But hey, come out to Brainerd on March 23rd. If you're seeing this before then, come out.
Come on down.
Don't they have that big Paul Bunyan statue in the park out there?
Yeah. Man. Yeah, anyway, we don't have to talk about Brainerd, but I appreciate the platform, and we'll see you on April 6th.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, guys, that's all we got for today. So thanks so much to Jeff Brinkman for coming in, talking a little bit about himself, his business. Thanks so much to the Ganja Skoden guys for coming in, sharing their story.
That was a trip. Shout out to Dabbler Depot.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. So cool being able to show up to Dabbler Depot and say, hey, you guys are sampling a cool product here. You want to come sample it with us in the back here? And so, shout out to Dabbler Depot. Thanks for having us out as always.
Shout out to Modest Brewing, and if Early Bird gets the Canna for.
Yes.
Yeah.
April 5th. That's going to be crazy. We got DJ Jimmy 2 times from the Get Crifey crew, and we're throwing a banger on April 5th for the 4 Canna.
Yeah. That's going to be a fun one.
Let's go.
Another banger.
Man. Well, that's all we got. As I said, we're going to be back in your feeds in just another week. We got the team behind Boveda coming in next week, telling us a little bit more about their story, about a national brand, a global brand you've probably heard of before, based in Minnetonka, Minnesota. Hearing a little bit more about their Minnesota roots, what that might mean for the upcoming adult use industry. We've also got a bunch of other content, so check us out on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Reddit, LinkedIn, Google.
Yeah, you've been.
I think I got them all. TikTok.
Yeah. Hey, we're getting some off on TikTok.
Are we on X?
Yeah. We are. Yeah. Okay. And make sure to subscribe to our newsletter because, well, social media is a great way to connect with us. We do sometimes send out some of those exclusive deals just through that newsletter. So be sure to subscribe. We'll put a link to that in the feed so you can get to that as well.
Yeah, that's way more valuable than the social media.
Yeah. But we do appreciate the likes. So be sure to give us a comment, leave us a like. Whatever you do on social media these days, we appreciate you being a listener or a watcher of Northern Lights, and we look forward to seeing you guys back again next week.
Thanks for supporting the Minnesota Cannabis College.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Northern Lights is a Minnesota Cannabis College production. This episode was produced by me, Tanner Barris, and by my co-hosts John Barty and Marcus Tarkus. Production assistance from Shayna Payton and Steve Eigenman. Today's episode is presented by North Star Law Group, your trusted partner in Minnesota's burgeoning legal cannabis industry. The information provided in this podcast does not and is not intended to constitute legal advice, but is instead for general information purposes only. Information shared may not constitute the most up-to-date or legal information. No listener should act solely on the basis of information provided without first seeking their own legal counsel. The opinions and views expressed on this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect those of the Minnesota Cannabis College. Please listen responsibly.
I got this new male grooming tool called the Manscaped.
Oh, I've seen those.
Man.
Does it work? Is it accurate?
Yeah, it's like your balls will be like a baby's balls with some low-grade bristles. Sorry, I'm still trying to resist oversharing.
What makes you think that's oversharing?